Hello, I'm Christine Franklyn, an integrative nutrition health coach who loves to help people feel better and live healthier and happier.
And my name is Silvana Siskov. I'm a health coach, nutritionist, counselor, and I wrote numbers of books focusing on health, weight loss, nutrition. And I wrote a couple of books on binge eating and emotional eating. And today we are going to talk about emotional eating and comfort eating. So, Christine, how often do you comfort eat?
Not often, but
Okay.
I read something once that said sometimes you need a bridge to get over a hump.
Okay.
So the moments when I comfort eat are those moments when I need a bridge, but I recognize that it's a bridge. It's
Okay.
very seldom, and it's like literally a little something, and then okay, I'm over that. Time to move on, time to dig deeper and do what needs to be done rather than focusing on food and hoping that food can solve an issue or just make me
Mm,
feel better.
yeah.
So in the back of my mind, I always know this is not a solution, but sometimes there's something, and I think it might be something simple. Like for me, it might be popcorn, which I don't normally eat. And I try to find non-GMO
Mhm.
corn to pop my
Mhm.
own popcorn.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's not usually anything that's crazy. It might be just something like that that I associate with a fun activity. So for me, eating popcorn and watching a movie feels comforting. So
Mm.
I might do that, find a comedy, sit with some popcorn and just watch that. And then when that's done, I'm like, okay, that was the beginning of my pick me up. Now I know, I can think clearer and think about what I really want to do. If there is a solution to this problem or whatever it is, that's what I think is always the key thing rather than relying on food as the solution and thinking that this is going to make me feel better and this is going to fix everything. So,
Right.
yeah, for me, it's occasional, but I call it my bridge just to get me over the hump so I can feel better enough to even start thinking clearly. But it's not something I do often at all. But we can all easily fall into that.
I read somewhere that over 70% of overeating is caused by emotional eating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so true because working with people with emotional issues and working with people with comfort eating, it's really kind of my specialty in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I noticed people tend to eat because they feel tired, or they feel bored, or they feel lonely, or they feel unloved, or because of any other reason apart from feeling a physical hunger.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
It's just so common. And very often people eat because they want to run away from the feelings they feel, or they want to
Mm-hmm.
hide from the certain feelings, or they want
Mm-hmm.
to suppress certain feelings. But the problem is that when we eat for any reason apart from physical hunger, the food we're never going to feel satisfied with the food we eat because
Yes.
we are not even hungry.
Yes. It's so true. So, so true. I
you know
totally agree. Yes.
So if we eat, I don't know, binge on cakes or whatever it is, because we feel lonely, those cakes are not going to satisfy us. Might
Mm-hmm.
for just a few minutes while we are
Mm-hmm.
eating it, but after that, we're going to be back in square one. We're probably going to feel even worse.
Yes. So what do
That's
you
what usually
recommend?
happens.
Yeah. So what do you recommend to clients to do if they start to feel like they are feeling down and they might want to reach for some comfort food?
It's really important to look at emotions, what emotions are there, what is it they really need. Because when someone is eating because of emotional reasons, we need to find out what emotion is there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are they eating because they're stressed? Are they
Mm-hmm.
eating because they feel lonely? Are they eating because whatever reason is there. Because when we eat because of emotional reasons, we are trying to fill a hole inside of us, but the food is not going to fill that hole.
Yes, it's true. So we have to
know
get to the root of the problem.
we need to get to
And
the root of the problem,
yes,
because if we eat because we feel stressed, that means that next time when we feel stressed, we're going to eat again. So we really need to get to the root of the problem. And then if we eat every time, if we concluded through working together that every time when you feel stressed, you tend to binge on food, then we need to look at how you can reduce your stress levels.
So true. So I
That's
always say, that it's the recognition, and then the next step is to develop an action plan. So that's why I always talk about, okay, feeling like you can step out of it so you get a little bit of clarity. So not just thinking the same thoughts over and over again and spiraling, but just taking a moment to breathe and think clearly about what the real issue is, and then what can I do about it? What parts of this are within my control? So that's what I always recommend.
And also what's very common is that emotional eating often leads to binge eating.
Yes.
We turn to food because we feel lonely, for instance, but then instead of having a bite of chocolate or bite of something, we're going to have a whole thing.
Yes.
We're just going to start binging. And I think the problem is that it kind of, at the end, it becomes like a food addiction. And I think that the problem I see there, that food addiction is really not taken seriously, not as seriously as like a drug addiction or alcohol. There are so many support groups out there for alcohol addiction and the drug addiction, but food addiction is the same thing, like a binge eating. That's in a way it's addiction for lots of people.
Yes.
And I think it's not taken seriously.
Yes, I totally agree, because I guess it's so common. Like, people are used, and I mean, it's fed to us by the media, really, when you think about it. You watch a movie, you see someone come home, they're feeling down. What do? Go to the fridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just to experience this, like a 2 minutes of happiness, let's call it.
Yes.
But after binging, after session of binging, it's people usually feel much worse than they felt before.
Yes, because usually it's the lack of satisfaction, as you said before. So you're not really feeling satisfied because you're not dealing with the root of the problem. And then, so you keep eating, that's the binging, trying to find that satisfaction that you can't find. And then at the end of it, you feel guilty about all this food that you've eaten that you know doesn't truly make you feel good. And you don't feel good about yourself for having eaten it. So then there's a whole new cycle of feeling bad now about the food.
Yes,
So
it's
that
just a cycle.
Yes.
And I mean, comfort eating or binge eating, it's really a cycle.
Yes.
We start doing it and we go in a circle. We feel, let's say, stressed, and then we start eating, and then we just carry on eating, and then we start binging, and then we feel bad about binging, and then we eat even more because we feel bad.
Yes.
And it's just a vicious circle.
Yes. And some people say, oh, well, I'm already at this stage. I've already, started down this path of eating all these things. So, and there's a feeling of hopelessness. So why bother? Why try to change anything? And then you eat again to try to make yourself feel better, just as you said. Yes.
Yeah, very often people choose food to comfort themselves, and the problem is with in comparison to like a drug addiction or alcohol, the problem is that with the food you can't go cold turkey. You can't just say I'm not gonna eat food like you can with alcohol or drugs. because we have to eat food. We need to eat food, and that's why it's, in my opinion, even more danger in comparison to drugs or alcohol, because you don't need to use drugs, you don't need to drink alcohol, you can simply say I'm going to stop doing it. But with food is all, first of all, it's available, and
Yes.
second, we need to eat, and once we start eating, it's very easy to actually overeat.
Yes. And it's all around us. So
Yes.
family members are going to be eating something that you might not want to eat, trying to eat healthier, but it's right there. And just when you feel like, oh, I could really use some comfort food, it's right there in the house, maybe in front of your eyesight. So
and
it's really hard.
If you think, like, for instance, in the winter time, you are outside and it's really cold, and sometimes you are thinking, all I want to do is to go home and have a hot cup of tea.
Yes.
I mean, hot cup of tea is not going to really do much damage. It's not going to not going to put too much weight on if you drink a cup of tea. But you see what I mean? It's
Yes.
kind of food and drink related,
Yes.
because it's comfort. It gives you comfort.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to ski a lot in the past, and I was on the slopes all day alone, and it was freezing. And all I was thinking was like, oh, I can't wait to go back to hotel. I'm going to have a cup of tea and cakes, because they used to make a homemade cakes, because it gives you comfort.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it sometimes is associated with our memories. And so there may be something from childhood that you were rewarded with when you did well in school or in a sporting activity like ice cream. So, the family might go out for ice cream for celebrations. So that becomes the go-to for, okay, ice cream makes me feel good. Therefore, if I'm feeling bad, then I'd like to have some ice cream because I know that always used to make me feel good. But it wasn't the ice cream that used to make you feel good. It was the entire family celebration. But that food has become associated with feel good moments in your mind. So that can easily happen. For some people, it's pizza or something else, but very often it's associated with some positive memory. And we're riding on that positive feeling that we remember and the food association that went with it. But there was so much more involved,
Yeah, it's true. And with all of us, with us human beings, kind of, the comfort in eating start from early age. When you were a baby, you were crying, and mommy would turn up with the milk and comfort you in that kind of way.
Yes.
So it starts from the day we were born.
Yes, so true. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's quite a cycle.
And it's a really interesting topic to talk about. And I mean, I often work with the clients, as I said, who are emotional eater or a binge eater. And as I mentioned, I wrote a couple of books. One is called Break the Binge Eating Cycle. I think I wrote so many books that now I can't remember all the titles. Yeah, Break the Binge Eating Cycle. And the other one is Get Your Sparkle Back, which is about 10 steps to weight loss and overcoming emotional eating. So lots of readers contacted me and said I can really relate to this. So yeah, I'm sure that if our listeners want to read one of those two books, they can get a lot out of it. So so
excellent.
Next week, what we are going to talk about next week?
Well, next week, actually, we're going to talk about a topic that I usually work with, and you also have a book on the topic. So this will be a very interesting discussion, right? We're going to talk about
how to live healthy when you are busy.
Yes. So important, because so many of us are really busy in our modern lives. So I think that this will be helpful for so many people.
Yes, that's true, because we are all very busy, and all I hear is, oh, I can't eat healthy because I'm too busy. I can't live healthy because I'm too busy. I can't do exercise because I'm too busy. So we are going to look at it next week.
Yes. And some people say, I don't have time to cook and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion. So, look out for
It will
that.
be.
Yes.
Yeah. See you
Next
next
week.
week.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.